Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Brenda. I am so excited because guess what? This is the very first podcast episode. Come on now, let's make some noise. Woo! Okay, I'm being dramatic here, but anyways, if you're joining us for the very first time, Conversations with Brenda is a platform where we talk about everything personal development, and then we remind ourselves of the greatness that lies within us. So welcome to this platform. Now, if you followed us for a while, you'll know that we've had episodes via Zoom and then a few of them live on YouTube. But today we're having our very first podcast episode, and that's not the best part. The best part for me is that I have a guest in the house, and I'm so excited about my guest today because she's such a huge part of my journey of becoming a life coach, my journey of becoming a healing coach, and everything else that you know about me. Sunnie Mallo is one of the people who trained me to become an NLP practitioner. She's a master practitioner herself, and aside that, she also trains people to become NLP practitioners. Ladies and gentlemen, it's such an honor to have with me today Sunnie Mallo.
Thank you very much, Brenda. It's super amazing to be here. I've followed your work for a while now, from Instagram live sessions, and I was at the last live event you had. It was amazing. Yes. It was amazing. Yes. I think what you're doing with your community is such an amazing work. I'm super excited and blessed to have been a part of your journey as well. So I think it's super amazing that I'm your first client. The first guest on this podcast.
Yes.
It's good to be here.
I was thinking to myself, who should I invite for this very first, this episode that is, almost like a trial version, but also something that I know is going to leave people with an impression. And I just thought, Sunnie is just the answer. It was just an easy answer for me, really. And I'm so excited to have you here. And today, we're talking about something that is very deep, but also something I know that a lot of people would learn from. Mm-hmm. And that is the silent work of healing. The silent work of healing. And let's just get right into it, Sunnie. What does this really mean? The silent work of healing.
It's interesting that this is the very first episode and we're going right into healing, which is a very, very deep concept of what we do. Yeah. So, yes. So you mentioned the silent work of healing. I remember when I saw this topic, I was like, this is interesting. And I also think it's very timely as well. Why the silent? Because if I do say, healing isn't a social media worthy kind of event. It's not something you see on Instagram. It's not something people go and talk about. No, healing is that process, that messy, dirty, tired, exhausting process that individuals go through to walk through those uncomfortable truths, walk through those hurting moments and things that they've been through. I think one of the best ways that I can describe the silent process of healing is using the example of a seed. When a farmer goes out and plants a seed in the soil, he goes home. Yeah. Now, what we do not pay attention to is what happens in the soil after that seed is planted. It's dark down there. Yeah. There's humidity, there's heat, there's so much in there that this seed is taking and making sense of and utilizing. And what happens after a period of time? It's a bit of silence. Yeah. And depending on the type of seed, it takes different durations.
Yes, true.
So after a while, then you see a sprout come up and you say, hey, my plant is growing. But we didn't know the silent work that happened in the soil. It's the same thing with healing. Times the way we step out of the limelight, you step out of, whatever busy life and schedule that you're having, and just go in there to deal with the trauma that you've gone through, the past, difficult situations, betrayals, divorces, grief, whatever it is, to be able to deal with and make sense. And then you show up. And then when you show up from that silent work, sometimes it shows up as saying no for the first time to situations where you always said yes.
Very true.
Right? And sometimes it shows up, the sprout is being able to say yes to things you always said no to. Yeah. For instance, if you've always felt unworthy of certain experiences or unable to ask for certain things, now for the first time, you're beginning to just say, yes, I want that.
Yeah.
You see, that's the sprout. So it's beginning to show up from that silent work that you did and the silent stack process. Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, you made mention of this whole social media thing, and in my head, I'm just laughing because sometimes you see people go through pain.
Yep.
Right. And you know, by the next week they're out and I'm back and I'm better, you know, and all. And in my head I'm like, just, you don't need this. You don't need the validation. Take as much time as you need. But sometimes people feel that, you know, I need to show the world, you know, that I'm strong and I was not broken by this. In my head, I'm like, no.
And the more time I see people do that, I go shaking my head like, you need to go right back there. Because for you to be I'm back, I'm better. No, we need to see it. You don't need to tell us. So when you walk out of that silent place, usually it shows. People can feel it in your presence. They feel it in your boundaries. They feel it in how you approach things.
Yes.
Now you're no longer throwing tantrums. Certain things are not triggering or setting you off. So it shows. So, you know, it's important because people set timelines. You know, we went through a heartbreak, so you took 2 weeks off social media. Now I'm back, I'm better. But there's no timeline to it, right? So I like that you do not need the validation. Step back and stay. It's uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest. It's uncomfortable sometimes because, you know, the cry moments, it's the ugly cries, the everything. But when you really walk through it, it's amazing, the experience.
So, I mean, someone is watching us now and is saying, all this talk about healing, let me make money. You know, this, let me just make money. All my problems will be solved. What do you have to say to someone like that?
You know, it's interesting because I've been in this field of working with people, right? But as an NLP practitioner and even as a clinical psychologist. And I cannot tell you the number of times that people tell me, therapy is for people who don't chop belly full. They say, you have what you're looking for. That's why you're going for therapy. But over the years, over and over again, I've seen that it's not the case. Because I tell you what, I've had someone sit across from me on the couch, and this person has the money you're looking for in their bank account. They have the travel experiences that you're looking for. They have the lifestyle that you're looking for. So the question is, why are they on my couch? And why are they in this crying, broken place? Because what we do not realize within this search is that there is an emptiness that never goes away. The pain, the hurt, it never goes away. The weight never goes away. And if I'm going to be honest, if you're in Nigeria, then I understand that concept. Bills are piling. Everything is on the increase. There's so much that we need money to resolve. So yes, I empathize and I really understand the need to make more money. But also sometimes, you, Brenda, will understand this concept. Sometimes we do not understand that our lack of healing or the lack of taking the time to walk through our mess may also be hindering us from making the money that we're chasing.
Absolutely.
Sometimes this money you're looking for is tied to this healing process. It's tied to this healing process. You do not realize how much you're self-sabotaging yourself, your business. There's some of us that we actually make the money, but trauma would not allow us to manage that money very well. And let's even talk about limiting beliefs, right? Some of us come from places where you kept hearing things like the money grow on trees. You don't realize that something as little as this line solidified over the years limit how you're even able to make the money that you think you're chasing. So you see, this is the self-sabotage. A part of you wants this and a part of you wants that. And if you're not healed, you're going to sabotage your business relationships. You're going to sabotage the processes that would give you the money that you're looking for. You're not even going to be able to consistently follow through. You would do it to do some point. You know, I don't know why. You're going to keep sabotaging, self-sabotaging, right? Your partnerships, your businesses, your ideas, all of these things. So in as much as people don't see explicitly how the two are tied together, I can assure you that I have had a lot of clients that through this healing, they have, in a way, one of my clients say, it's like I've come together and I've been able to move slowly but steadily. And now I'm able to make the money that I haven't made in 6 years, I made in 6 months. I'm not saying it's always the case, but sometimes when you clarify, you clean the cobwebs, your thinking process is clearer, is more strategic. You're able to create even the money you're looking for. So don't wait till you have all the money to go to therapy. Because again, you know the kind of clientele we have. So you know that they are not. So you may have all this money you're looking for, but if you're emotionally bankrupt, it's a terrible kind of experience. Sleepless nights. insomnia is your friend, emptiness on the inside. They exist. And mental health is not just for poor people. It's not just for rich people. Everyone has it. Everyone experiences it. So get the help. And who knows, it may help you get the money that you're looking for.
Now, another thing I've heard people say over time is, people say that healing is hard. The process is not pretty. You know, what do you have to say that? What's the process of healing? What does it look like, that process of healing?
So, 2 questions here. The first you said is healing is hard. And my response to that is yes and no at the same time. Yes, in the sense that it's a bit like the process of a woman being in labor. Being in the labor room, it's hard. If you meet a woman who has been, I mean, some women have been lucky to have very easy processes, but being in that process of labor, it's hard. But you know, also no, because the moment after they push out the baby, 5 minutes later, the same woman is still having tears in her eyes and she's laughing, she's happy. That's a bit of how the healing process is. In that moment, it's a bit messy. Yes, it's a bit difficult, because what does it look like? Sometimes it looks like you and that journal in your room alone. You're writing and then your tears is dropping on the pages. Sometimes it looks a bit like you sitting on the floor. The music or the gospel or whatever is playing and you're weeping your eyes out. Other times it looks like sitting across from a complete stranger in therapy and you're sharing those deepest vulnerable things that you've been through. And if you've been in any therapy room, I can assure you, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. But it's also wonderful, because the moment that you step out of it, it almost feels like you're breathing fresh air for a moment.
Yes.
It almost feels like a weight is being lifted off your shoulders. So is it a bit of work? Yes. Is it worth it? Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely. So now, I want to ask this. How important do you think having a safe space, because you've talked about therapy, you've talked about the fact that this is you letting someone into your most vulnerable aspect. Right? So how important is it to have a safe space to really share this vulnerability with someone?
For some reason, the moment you mentioned safe space, it was you that came to mind for me, right? I mean, if you're looking for, you're trying to understand the concept of safe space, is what you do. And I think I can speak to that also because I was a part of your training process, so I understand that. But a space where people can feel heard and seen for the first time.
And not judged.
Zero judgment. And if you have been in some of our spaces and you know that that's what it's like, you bring everything to the table and our face is the same. Nobody's like, oh, you did that? Why? No. It's the acceptance that is given even before you share what's going on. So safe space is key to any healing process. I'm saying this because you said something that's important. I've had unsolicited prayer points. You shared something. Someone said. In fact, I had this experience.
Wow.
As a teenager, you know, when they will have counselors in school who would come and share, who will come, they tell you, oh, you can share with the counselors, they walk you through. And I shared something in my little struggle as a child with this guy, and then he went to preach, you know, like 2 hours later, and he literally said my story that I told. I told it 2 seconds ago. And for instance, that was my experience. I was like, no, anytime they tell you safe space, no judgment, it's not completely true, because why is it being said on the pulpit? Now, of course, agreed he didn't call my name, but why is it being said there? Because I felt called out, right? But a lot of people who are listening to me may have also had similar experience. They may go and share it as prayer points in family meeting, right? Or in the community, say, some of us here are, and that breaks our spirits to a limit.
Let's be careful in this life. Yes. This is what somebody's going through.
Yes. So I want to say this to people who are in a position to help. If anyone comes to you and trusts you with their vulnerability, please do not abuse it. Do not abuse it. Secondly, if you have had this bad experience, I also want to say that not everyone is the same. There are safe space, like I said, conversations with Brenda. Brenda is one person I know. I do this work. There are lots of other people that can create that safe space. The thing is, if you do not give people safe space, they will not truly be able to open up. It's like that example I talked about, the seed and the soil. If you do not give it that safe space of having water and light, or good soil, it's never going to grow. It has the capacity to be that Iroko tree. It has the capacity to blossom, but it never would reach there if you don't give it that space. That's what that safe space is. The water, the soil, the sunlight. That's what your safe space is supposed to be for any individual who comes to you, for them to be vulnerable, especially when you don't even have what to say. Sometimes we feel like when someone opens up to you, you need to say something smart. You need to say something. No, sometimes all you need is, I see you. Or just a hug. Just acknowledgement that, you're not alone. I'm here. That's it. Right? So safe spaces are important, whether as the practitioner or as the client who is seeking this help. And if you're looking for help, please look for places that are safe. How would you know that? Recommendations. If you were to have a heart surgery, for instance, you would put in the work. You would look for recommendations. You will ask for people's experiences. You look for the best doctor in that field. You will ask questions. And the same thing, when you're looking for a counselor or a therapist, see their reviews. They should have a testimonial that drives you. So don't just go to anyone who has ears to listen, because some of us have compounded our problems like that, sharing with the wrong people. Right?
I agree. Thank you so much, Sunnie, for that. And I want to ask this. Someone is watching this and saying, how do I even know if I need healing? How do I know? I don't know for sure if healing is what I need right now. What would you say to that person?
It feels to me a bit like, okay, how would I know if I'm unhealed or I have things to work through? For starters, I like to say, if you're a Nigerian growing up in Nigeria, you have something to heal from. Right?
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes people, when they hear healing, they're like, that person will get wound. And also because of the description that we've given to what the wound should look like. Right? When we say healing, sometimes it comes even in the slightest of ways. Some of us don't know that we suffered neglect growing up as children. Right? Our emotions were never validated. Right? So we never felt worthy. And some of us have turned out to be people pleasers because we had to work hard to gain the kind of attention we needed as kids. If you're looking or asking the question of, do I need to heal? Then my question is, watch yourself. In your everyday life, are you present? And if you haven't been in this part of this work or done this work that we have, you may even be wondering, what does that mean to be present? Because when you're always chasing something, is the next thing, you're trying to fill some kind of void that is inside. You really do not have that space to just be. And some years ago, someone said something to me that was key. He said, we are human beings, not human doings. But today we are always doing something and the next thing that we do not take the moment to be. And you know why sometimes we run away from being? Because when you need to be, then you need to be with yourself. And a lot of us don't like what we see when we're with ourselves. Because guess what? That voice on the inside begins to tell you, who do you think you are? You think you're good enough to do this? And all of that negative talk that you're always running from pops up again. So if you're asking the question, how do I know I need to heal, is sit with some of the experiences you've had. It's like having a wound. There are things that when they touch, you begin to bleed again. You throw tantrums, you lash out, you are reacting instead of responding. That's one of the core difference between healed and unhealed people. When you're unhealed, you react to things that happen to you. But when you are, or you have walked through some of these things, you respond. And sometimes the response is, I don't want to respond to this, right? So pay attention. Do you have emotional boundaries? Do you have boundaries? And when people place boundaries, do you feel rejection? Right? Or do you honor it? These are some of the things. What's the value you have placed on yourself? And are you okay with that? Another is, what's your identity? Is your identity, based on all that you have? Or is it me? I know who I am, and that's okay. All these other things may complement, but they are not me.
On the inside.
Yeah.
Wow. So I know you can go on and on.
I know.
But I'll just try to direct this conversation.
Okay.
And the next thing let's talk about heartbreaks. Because a lot of people are trying to heal from heartbreaks. And it may come in the form of betrayal of trust, right? It may come in the form of emotional heartbreaks, and things like that. Is it possible to heal from heartbreaks?
I'm laughing because I want to say heartbreak is like part of the human nature, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't had one, well, you may be walking into one.
It's coming. No, I'm not prophesying doom.
And we're not like prophets of doom. But I'm saying, if you're having this human experience that we're having, it will or may happen at one point or the other. Now, heartbreaks don't all look the same. For someone, it's from a lover. For others, it's from a friend. From others, it's from a parent. Right? And for others, it's from their kids. Because I've had people who, it's my child that broke my heart. It's so heartbreaks looks different. Now, betrayals. You know, in more recent years, most of the situations I'm having now are not usually my lover and me. They're mostly me and my friend. Friendships for 15 years, 20 years. Betrayals that have occurred that I don't know how to move on. I feel like I've lost myself because my identity was partly tied to either this marriage or to this person or to this partnership. So you're losing all of that. Is it possible to heal from heartbreak? Yes. I'm going to ask this in a moment, but if you have been through heartbreak,
the answer is yes.
If you've been through a heartbreak and you're sitting where you are, then I assume that you have had to work. Well, I would like to hear that experience. What was that like for you?
Ooh, okay. Which one?
Okay.
Okay. So again, I mean, I've had experiences, right? And one of the, should I say, not major, but one that's left an impression on me was my very first heartbreak. Right, I was really young. I was in love. Oh my God! And then my heart got broken. And somewhere, so it was like my very first heartbreak. And somewhere in that experience, I learned something very profound. And that's the power of forgiveness. Yeah. Right. So my heart got broken, and I mean, I was crying every day for like 2 weeks. Again, I
can imagine.
So I cry over everything.
Yeah.
Right? But at some point, I remember I was in the bathroom that day and I said to myself, this has happened. I mean, I was quite young. I think I was 19 or so. And I'm like, I have a whole lot in front of me. I mean, this thing, I didn't hear it from anywhere. This was me just having a self-talk. And I said to myself, there are so many other experiences that are to come, right? I shouldn't just be down and beaten by this particular experience. And then I said to myself, you know what? I forgive him. Wow. For the first time in my life, I had this experience. It felt like a weight lifted. And it was a physical weight. I don't know how to explain it. It's one of those things you can't really explain, but it felt like something lifted off my shoulders. And I was wondering, like, have I been carrying
a weight
and I didn't know. And that was the day I learned the power of forgiveness. That was so now, hurt me all you want, the first thing I do is to forgive you. I will heal, right? But I let it go because I know how much darkness unforgiveness carries. And it's a weight. So that experience for me, and it was a heartbreak experience, but for me it shaped how I was able to navigate through life going forward. So I have experienced heartbreak, and that's just one of many others. But yes, I have.
I like that your honesty in sharing that, because it's the human condition that we experience, right? Now, you said something key. When your heart is broken, there are people that have ended up going to the hospital because they felt like something is happening to them. There's physical pain to some level that you feel with a heartbreak. Is it possible to heal this? Yes. The very first thing though, and the reason why a lot of times you meet somebody 5 years later, they are still talking about that ex who broke their heart and the pain they're in. They are still tracking, is he married now? What's happening? They are hoping that a trailer will jam him somewhere and something happens. What they do not realize is what you're doing is prolonging the time it takes you to heal and denying yourself better experiences. And that happens because of the meaning that we give to that heartbreak.
Yes, absolutely.
Because what happens is you have said, this person rejected me, or you have given it all sorts of meaning that are not empowering, and that fuels the anger, it fuels the unforgiveness. It's possible to heal from heartbreak. One of the first things to do in that process is really acknowledge what's happened. It's broken up with you. People want what they want, and sometimes it's not you.
Unfortunately,
it's hard, but it's true. You see, that's part of when you're healed, you realize that the way that you are able to pick, I like this and I don't like that, you should give other people permission. Now, some people again do it recklessly and hurt people in the process, but it's possible when that happens to you to heal. You heal by acknowledging that this has happened. This happened with this friend, this happened with this lover, this happened in this situation. Secondly, acknowledge what you're feeling in that process. had a heartbreak once, and I think the hardest part was really coming to the terms.
You did?
Yes.
Tell us about
I said it's the human experience.
Yeah,
I think the hardest part for this, for me, was really coming to terms with what I was feeling. Because sometimes, okay, your heart is broken, but people feel different things.
True.
For me, it was anger, and because I'm this person who didn't know how to feel anger, it felt different. Like, why do I want it? Should I be feeling angry? It took me actually stepping into that anger. I'm saying, yes, I'm angry. And then it was like something opened up. Okay, yes. Why are you angry? And of course, because today I'm a therapist, I walk people through processes of all of this. But you write through that anger, for instance, or you talk through it, or you have a conversation, or you cry through it. So you first acknowledge what has happened, but you've also acknowledged what that has defined for you. Because some of us define ourselves as unwanted, as rejected, as not good enough because of that heartbreak that happened. So what have you defined this situation to be in, right? And the third thing is also find meaning through this situation. When your heart breaks, what we don't realize it can also break open something on the inside of you. If you walk through that trauma and heal, it almost always opens up a new version of you, a richer version of you, a more accommodating. That's why when you said in that shower, when you felt that, it's amazing. Some people have to sit on the couch in therapy for a period to get that experience you had in the shower. What we don't realize is these emotions are stored in our bodies. It's literal weight you were carrying, and some people carry that weight for months, for years. And there are people, I've had people who are literally hunched over from the weight that they're carrying. Other people are having growths, cancers, ill health. That's why sometimes when the doctor tells you, I can't find anything, it's not always your village people. Sometimes our emotions are stored in our bodies, and if you do not feel them, let me just say this, I know I'm taking some time. A lot of times we tell ourselves, I shouldn't feel, like it was my experience. I shouldn't be angry. I'm a good Christian. He says, let the sun not go down, while you're hungry. So I felt like, I shouldn't be feeling angry. But for instance, the person who we look up to as our role model, was he not angry at some point? And he wiped people Oraimo cord in the temple. Was alright. Yeah. And then, he was sad at some point and he wept, right? And he was lonely at some point. So it's that we allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling. Emotions are in motion. They're supposed to be moving. But what happened is that heartbreak happened and you got locked in. So you are 5 years older, but a part of you is locked in 5 years back, right? So allow yourself to feel what you're feeling and heal through it. Sometimes it looks like talking to someone. Sometimes it looks like getting therapy, but getting an empowering meaning. I'm like, if this person walks away, means something better is coming my way. And I'm excited and I'm working on myself to be able to accommodate and receive what it is that life is bringing my way.
Wow.
So yes, it's possible.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So yes, you can heal from your heartbreak. It's not. But I want to take this a little deeper, Sunnie, and I want to talk about grief. And there's something about the finality of death, right, that makes it almost impossible to heal from. And sometimes there are people who even struggle with feeling better because they feel the guilt, right? Like, why should I be laughing?
Move on when this person is gone.
Well, how come I'm finding something funny when I'm walking through this? How do you deal with grief?
For grief, if you've experienced grief before, I think you have watched me experience grief sometime recently. It's one of the most difficult things that you get to walk through in this human experience that we get to have, because of the finality of it, like you said. So if you have a heartbreak, you can go on Instagram and still stalk your ex. You may be angry at him, but he's there, right?
Yes.
However, when someone is gone, it's like, I'm never seeing you in this plane or this phase of life again. It's a different kind of experience. And there is a level of reference I have when I'm talking about grief or walking people through grief, because it's never the same for any two people. So for instance, I had a grieving experience. I think I shared that with you sometimes, where I lost someone who was very close to me, my aunt who practically raised me. And for some reason, I didn't understand why what I was feeling was anger. I felt like she was too young to die. Like, why? Why her? Like, there's now I'm thinking about it, like, who should it have been? Right? But I was angry. And even the most recent experience of grief that I had, it was more confusing that I experienced. So different people experience different things. With grief, I think the hardest part, like you said, is giving yourself permission. Not to move on, but the process is to allow yourself to move forward. Okay. We feel like, how do I move on without this person? It feels like I don't deserve, he's gone and I'm happy, I'm laughing. Acknowledge what is really happening, right? Allow yourself to feel what you're feeling in that moment. The key is to say, how do I move forward with this situation? You're not moving on from the person. You're moving forward with this experience. Because grief redefines you. It redefines you as a person. And that's why there are people that you'll meet after a particular grief and they are never the same. Sometimes it's the passing of a parent or the passing of a wife or a husband or even that of a child, and they are never the same. The key is not for you to be the same. The key is for you to sit in this new experience you're having and define, how do I move forward? It's hard because people always say, how do I move on from the grief? That's why I'm using these words deliberately. We don't encourage you to just move on. We encourage you to, what can I pick from here and how do I move? Which means I'm taking just the next step. Just sleep tonight, wake up tomorrow. How do I move through this week? How do I move forward this month? With carrying this person, the person is always going to be a part of your life. It's always going to be a part of your story. So it's a bit like I'm carrying you in my heart now. You may not be there physically, but you're a part of my every experiences. And in terms of therapy, there are different ways they help you to move. Name a star if you want after this person that you have a conversation with, right through this grief. But it's possible to heal through grief only when you allow yourself. Now, a word for the audience, if you're listening to this, please stop putting a timeline on your grief. Grief doesn't happen in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And don't tell people, oh, it is well, move on. No. Allow people to heal through their grief. It happens differently. And when it happens, sometimes you feel like you're okay. And then you wake up one morning and you're suddenly crying.
Yeah.
It's okay. Allow yourself to do that. The problem happens when you now suppress that. Then you suppress the feeling. When the person's memory comes, you suppress it. I don't want to think about it. What happens is your emotions will never go away. They would wait for the most interesting moment to pop up. So you see people crying in random places. Or something different happens and then it opens up that can of emotions in an unwarranted way. So one, it's possible to heal through your grief. Secondly, don't define it as moving on. Define it as moving forward with this person and this experience. And find a new meaning in it. In healing, key, not just to grief, find meaning. Because when you're able to find meaning, it gives you a way to move forward. That's why you see people who have lost maybe a sister to cancer, they find a new meaning. They begin to walk towards Cancer Foundation, whatever. If it's accident, they begin to deliberately walk towards prevention, safety, whatever the situation is. Find a meaning in your experience. Don't let them go to waste. I believe nothing just happens. Everything happens. Bringing along a gift. But that gift comes with a seed. That seed that has to sit in darkness, in that messy situation to grow. So find new meaning through it.
Wow. Okay. So, my heart goes out to everyone who may have lost someone dear to them, someone who means something to them. And, my heart goes out to you. So, Sunnie, I want to ask you this. And we've talked a lot about, meaning and all of those things. Where is the place of spirituality in one's healing journey? Does spirituality actually play a role? And we spoke about forgiveness earlier on, and how powerful forgiveness is, and for a lot of people that's a spiritual concept, right? So what's the place of spirituality in a person's healing journey?
So, it's interesting when we're talking about spirituality and healing, especially in this part of the world where religion is quite loud. I know you and I have a definition of spirituality that may not be the everyday definition that other people have. So in this context, sometimes I will use religion just so that there's clarity in what I'm talking about. It plays a very huge role. And this is not just religiously speaking, even scientifically. In psychology, we believe that spirituality plays a role, where the individual goes to either their church community or the mosque or whatever your religion or that group of spirituality that you practice, even if it's yoga, whatever it is that you go into, what that does is it reminds us that we're not alone. First of all, it reminds us that we're part of something bigger than us. And something that this gives beyond all else is hope. It's hope. That's one of the biggest things that spirituality does. It's like the fact that I'm here, I can face tomorrow.
Something better is on the way.
Yes, it's that hope, and that's what we need when we're in the healing process. It's very key. It's very important. It gives us hope. It also brings us to a place of forgiveness. When you're in that spiritual place, it's like it's mercy you need, it's grace you need. But it's also that forgiveness, even for yourself. Most times when we talk about forgiveness, we talk about forgiving other people. I don't know if you've experienced the power of forgiving self. Most importantly, how difficult it is.
I've met people that would say to me, I've forgiven this person and I've forgiven that person and this person hurt me, but I've forgiven them. And then you tell them, okay, so what about you? And like, me, yes,
we forget about us.
Have you forgiven yourself? And I've seen people break, during sessions, just in trying to actually forgive themselves, because they're in this space where they're thinking, how could I have let this thing happen? How you feel like, I'm too intelligent, how could I have fallen for this person in the first place? I should have seen it, right? I should have known that this thing was going to happen. Or people warned me and I didn't listen. And a lot of people are still angry with themselves. And that's where the unforgiveness is even starting from.
Because it's easy, especially for people who are religious. We're talking about spirituality now. When it comes to forgive other people, I will forgive because the good book says I should. However, what we don't realize is there's someone else you need to in fact, the person you need to forgive the most
is yourself.
It's you. Because some of us, if we pay attention to our self-talk, you will never talk to your friend the way you talk. In fact, if you talk to your friend the way you talk to yourself, you will have no more friends.
Wow.
Yes, because let me just give you a window into that conversation. How could you be so stupid? Oh my God. How can you be so smart and so dumb at the same time? That kind of conversation. And you talk to yourself more than you talk to anyone else, So this kind of conversation is consistently going on in your mind. The reminder to forgive yourself. So we find that when we come to that place of no judgment, it's part of that safe space too. Whether you're doing it in a community or in your room alone, I've seen the power in worship.
Yes.
When you don't have the words, it's you and your tears and your the ugly cry, and you're just there in that space. That's also in psychology we call that grounding. It brings you to the present moment. I am here just as I am. So regardless of what religion you practice, when it comes to spirituality, it's very key. It's very important. In the prayer, it's not just in the prayer. Sometimes it's even in the silence. Have you had those moments that you go to God and you're like, today I don't have what to say?
Sunnie, do you know what? Let me let's talk about that. Because for me, one of the most powerful ways I pray, and again, it's almost like sometimes when you are broken, because God is close to the broken. Some of my most powerful prayers are from that place of brokenness. Where you are not saying, oh, you are the King of Kings, you are the Lord of Lords, you're just here, and you're like, God, I can't do this anymore. You need to help me. You really need to come through for me. And I'll share a story. There was a time I was having a heartbreak. Now this is another heartbreak.
I told you guys it's a human condition.
Yes, after the one I talked about. And I was having a heartbreak. And I was so heartbroken. And I remember that day, I was seated on the floor, my back against the wardrobe, and I was crying. And I said to God, I'm tired. God, I'm tired. I'm tired of having faith. I'm tired of trusting you. I'm tired of believing. I don't even know if this whole thing that they teach us, if it's even real. And then I said to myself, I wish I would just know that you're even there. And I'm telling you, I was speaking from the depths of my soul. I wasn't just having, it was from the inside of me.
That's the prayer.
And I said, God, and guess what, Sunnie? Now this part, come on, there's no religion around this, but a few hours later, I get a call from a friend that maybe I talk to maybe once in a year. And he says to me, hi, Brenda, how are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Because again, I'm this person who, I won't let you know I'm going through anything. And then he says,
so check on her. Check on
yes,
her.
I'm that strong friend and you need to check on her. And he says to me, Brenda, I don't know, God said I should let you know that he loves you.
A phone call?
I'm telling you.
That's amazing.
I was like,
That's
wait,
amazing.
what? And he's like, I don't know. Again, he's a pastor friend of mine. And he's like, I was just seated and, dropped in my spirit. God said, call Brenda and tell her I love her. I started to cry again because I'm like, okay, so God, you are here.
Yeah, he heard all
But
of
that's
that.
one of the most profound life experiences I've had. So you see that brokenness, you see that place of just speaking to God, worship, deep worship. You are not trying to impress God.
Yeah.
You're not trying to say, oh, this is me.
When you come with all those big English, I'm like, wait, your matter never reached first.
Do you understand?
Right?
Yes.
But when you come to that space and it's not all about the right words. In fact, for me, it's those times when you have no words.
No words at all, yes.
No words. So it's key for healing. Just be there. Be there. Sometimes you're there. You know how you that's why I was a bit heartbroken when Ringred passed, because she did this thing. She's a therapist, right?
Yes.
Trauma therapist.
Yes.
And this is to tell you that she also realized the power in spirituality. So she would, Monday to Friday, she is in her office seeing clients, psychology based, everything, tools, NLP. And then on Saturdays, she has the safe space where you come for like 2-3 hours. She would move all the chairs and put rugs on the floor and just play worship.
Wow.
You come there, remove your shoes, get on the rug. Lie down if you want. Sit down if you want. Speak if you want. If you want to be there quietly, be there. And I can't tell you the number of times I see people just unpack and they cry. Nobody's asking you what is your life problem. Somebody would probably just put a hand on your shoulder, say a prayer for you, or just give you a hug. And people are there for hours. Christians, Muslims, safe space. And you come and that healing begins to take place. It doesn't mean that it starts and finishes there, but it opens a window, a door.
Very true.
And then you can show up to therapy on Monday and say, okay,
yes, let's
help
talk
me
about
walk
this.
through this.
Yes.
So it's important. And another reason, the last thing I'll share about this is, when it comes to healing, it's important that it's the spirit, the mind, and the body. So we take care of the body with therapy and the mind. But you see, that spiritual part, it's important that it's healed. Because sometimes when we go through the events and experiences, it breaks our spirit.
Yes.
So being able to be in this place that it can be healed again, it makes your healing holistic. And it's also something, it gives us also another gift, especially for those who may be grieving. Community. So I was super excited. I said I was at the live event, Conversations with Brenda.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this because I've known Brenda. I'm saying this because I've also followed behind the scenes. I told you yesterday that I get your emails. I was like, you do? I do. Because I listen to the conversations. I see the quality of people that you bring in. I see what you do with your community. And it's such a safe space. So I can even imagine what goes on in your sessions one-on-one, right? Yeah. So it's such a safe space. Communities are powerful. When you're grieving, when you're going through loss, right? Yes. So find yourself a community that is safe. If it's Conversations with Brenda, great. Come in there and be able to speak, be able to reach out, be able to write through what it is that you're going through. So yeah, spirituality is key.
Fantastic. I mean, we could go on and on.
I know.
But I think we're running out of time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask this very last question.
Yeah.
And you've touched on it a bit, but I still just want us to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
What does a healed person look like? Now, how do I know for sure that, okay, you know what? I used to have trauma. I used to have all of these things, triggers and everything. How do I know when I'm healed? How can I stand up one day and say, you know what? I'm healed from this experience. What does a healed person look like?
I think this is a very important question because I'm imagining that a lot of people are like, okay, you're talking about healing. Do I need it? And if I have walked through it, how do I know I'm done? I like to say it's never like a final destination, considering that you're still living in this life and you're going to more experiences are coming on. So it's never like final, but you can know that you have healed certain things by paying attention to the way you're responding through life. Everyday experiences. It's because you're healed doesn't mean that you won't cry. I like that we've shared our experiences. I feel like cry is therapeutic. So you would still have those moments, right? It's not picture perfect because you're healed, but pay attention to how you respond through life. You will see that you're no longer avoidant of certain things. You would begin to pay attention to how you're responding. One important thing to know when you're healed is that you begin to have healthy boundaries. You're able to say no and not feel bad and not feel guilty. You're able to honor your own boundaries, because a lot of times we don't set boundaries for ourselves. We're hoping that the other person would somehow respect us. No.
I get that.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, right? Like, you should know now. Treat me with no. A healed person would is not afraid to say, okay, no, this far but no further. Because let me give you a very practical example, and this is what I used to explain to my client. Healing is a bit like you have this house that through life you have built, for some people 20 years, some people 30 years, and the unhealed version of you is like a house that the gate has been broken down. Animals have walked into the house, they've pooped everywhere, it's dirty, it's messy, the gates, the windows are broken. And that's why it's messy. So you get into there the first day, it's like renovation. You're like, where do I start? And bit by bit, you begin putting up the windows. And that's why sometimes you get contractors, your counselors, your therapists, your community. You get contractors, so they're removing the windows and replacing them. The doors are done now. That's why it takes time. It's not 2 weeks, I'm back. No. So the windows are done. Then you begin to put up a gate. I didn't say wall. I said a gate, because there are gates. Gates are there for a reason. You open them sometimes and you close them sometimes. You put up a gate. Now you have a fence that's working. The house has been painted white. It's washed. It's beautiful. It's done. And that moment in therapy, it's always fulfilling when a client says, I feel light. Now it's like, I've told you, okay, here are the keys to your apartment. What I see a lot of people do is, now you get into that house, and next thing, someone is knocking, your doorbell is going off, and you open the door and allow someone walk in with their muddy feet. Because you don't have boundaries. Because you haven't said, oh no, you can't come in.
Not anymore.
Yes. So healing looks a bit like, now I have my bedroom people, I have my living room people, but I also have my compound people, yard people. Hi, hello. No, don't come in. You stand by the door, like you close your door, like, how are you today? Oh, greet the family. Then you close your door and go back in. This is important. But when you're unhealed, you begin to feel like you're missing out. Fear of missing out. So you allow anybody to come inside and they mess up the place. Now they walk away 5 minutes later. And that's why the heartbreak hurts sometimes, because we've tied our entire identity to that situation, right? So now, deliberately, this is how you know a healed person. They have their boundaries. They're not afraid to walk through emotions, to express how they're feeling. They'll tell you, oh, you hurt me, Brenda, you said that, and it hurt me, right? I appreciate if you don't speak to me in that tone of voice. They express their emotions, they set healthy boundaries, and they respect other people's boundaries too, right? So these are some of the ways that I begin to know. And this is important, finally. They don't react. They respond. I hope you know this. See, if I step on your feet, reaction is, when people tell you it's reflex, right? That's reacting. But responding is a bit like, it's coming from a place. I respond to this situation. Oh, this happened. I respond to this, rather than react because this is who I am. This is how I am.
I just triggered.
Then yes. Someone said, why is everything always triggering you? I have so many triggers. That's an identity. These are things you need to, those triggers, they are things you need to heal. It's not for the triggers to stop existing in the world. People always talk to you with that tone of voice, whether they know you or they don't, right? Those situations will still happen. Instead of trying to get rid of those situations in the world, the key is prepare yourself that you're able to handle them. That's the sign of healing.
Wow. Thank you, Sunnie. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on, but I feel that anybody who listens to this must have learned at least something, right? And one of those things I want you to take away from this conversation today is that healing is possible. It's that you can get healing, and there is no need to live in the place of pain, trauma, unforgiveness, all of those things that cause weights. So you carry weights through life because you do not know that you're carrying so much darkness. But I'm sure you've enjoyed the conversation today, and I know that. But conversations with Brenda, we're fun people, so we like to have fun as well. And so we're going to play a very little game just just to lighten up the mood a bit. And it's a very simple one. I just give you a word, and then you sing a song from the word. So you have 5 seconds to come up with this song. Okay, 10. You have 10 seconds to come up with a song.
Okay.
And your word is...
This is you believing that I can sing.
No, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Okay.
It's fine. Your word is... This is a simple one, really, because I already have a song in my head. Heal.
Heal the world.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Make it a better place.
Let's go.
For you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying.
You know the
For
rest of
Lee.
it. Thank you. You won.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much,
so
Sunnie, for coming. Again, like I said, this is the very first podcast episode of Conversations with Brenda. I'm so glad you joined in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your post notification button so that you know every time an episode drops. Until I come your way again, my name is Brenda, and this is Conversations with Brenda. Signing out.